All right, let's try
And
this again. Now we have
that's
sound.
four. All right.
Um, anyways, try this again. Tim Arthur. I'm the tournament director for Wild West Bass Trail Kayak, and with us tonight we have several anglers of the group that you may recognize. We are coming up to our last event this weekend. So there's a lot on the line. I want to go over AOY points and a few other things regarding KPT, which is that logo down on the bottom that I'm assuming several of you are anxiously waiting for that invite. But a lot's on the line this weekend. So I know you guys have heard me talk a bunch the past 6 months, and I kind of wanted to give you guys something else to talk about. And why not give you the anglers who are part of this group and who are up there on the fringe? We got Shane fighting for, I think he is in fourth place currently right now in AOY, but we'll go over more of that in a bit. Right now, we've got Troy Haynie to my, I guess, screen left. We have Shane Jones, the top right. Um, you might know him from, I guess, several years of being a part of this. And then we have Mike Train, which is below me. And then Alice, the infamous Alice, below me to the left. And they are some of the anglers that you guys compete against. They are out there all season long. They fished all three events, and they are all fighting to get to the top. And I want to welcome them to this live shenanigans show. And thank you for being here with me because I know everybody's tired of hearing me talk. So it's good to have some fresh faces. First off, real quick, I do want to talk about this weekend. We are in the blackout period. The first official practice day will be Saturday. The times are posted on the time card. Read that, know those rules. If you have any questions about the rules, please ping me on DM, email, somehow get a hold of me and find out. If I don't respond, keep pinging me. There's a lot going on right now with my side of the thing, so keep trying. I will respond at some point. Sunday, you get to pick the body of water that you want to fish. It needs to be greater than 200 acres, no private ponds, no Kelsey Bass Ranch, no private areas that no one else can get to. The delta is open. It is greater than 200 acres, so that is perfectly fishable. And several other lakes, if you can get on them, that are normally over or greater than 200 acres, including Oroville. I think Don Pedro's on that list. Folsom, wherever you choose to go. I strongly advise for those guys fighting for those points to fish your strong suit for this event. Guys, from what I'm hearing, are going all out based on their skill set. They're asking specific questions about lakes and what they can and can't do. So be on your A game, pick the right body of water, and yeah, come out swinging because this is the last event. Then we'll go into the championship event, which currently is set for Don Pedro. And I believe that will change based on how Don Pedro's water level is. I will try and have an answer by Saturday of where the championship will be, so it gives you some time to figure out. Without further ado, I'm actually going to go into the panels, and basically, I'm curious to hear their takes on this season based on water levels, fires, changing dates, how the season's unfolded. Um, Not to put anyone on the spot first, but I kind of want to put Troy on the spot first to see if he divulges any info about this weekend. But yeah, Troy, your take on this season.
This is my rookie year. I've told a few people that this is actually my first year of actually fishing in a kayak or anywhere, and I'm actually loving the tournament style. I'm fishing with a lot of great people. Met a lot of great people. Just learning a lot from just talking to people, during tournaments or after tournaments. I like the format. I'm looking forward to next year, and I'm just hopefully I do good this weekend to get me into the top 10, and looking forward to moving on and learning more and more, and hopefully next year I can do a lot better. But I feel pretty happy where I'm sitting right now.
And you said this is your first year period on a kayak fishing.
Yeah, so my cousin got me into fishing about a year and a half ago. We were just pond fishing, and he ended up watching a video where this guy wants money in the kayak, and he got a kayak, I got a kayak, and we kind of fished together. Yeah, so I mean, I ended up buying all the gear. I mean, all the fishing stuff and lures and fishing poles, and so yeah, so this was technically my first year of actually fishing for anything, honestly.
That's pretty impressive because you're sitting at 11th in
Correct.
AOY
Mm-hmm.
out of how many guys we have? Almost 130 anglers. I don't know. That's pretty impressive for your first year.
Yeah,
And you
just
fish.
just a lot of videos, a lot of research, and just listening to for the the older people, and just picking their brains, and just just trying to gather as much information as possible, and then trying to go out and duplicate it on the water each week. So it's definitely, sometimes it's frustrating because sometimes I get stuck to one bait, and it kind of bites me in the butt. But I just got to keep on going out there and just continually learning each time I go out.
Yeah, I mean it's straight up impressive for you to come in your first year and do this. I know guys on boats that come in on a kayak, and some do well, some do miserable. So
Yeah.
yeah. So no pressure this weekend then.
Yeah, no pressure. But I am actually going to a lake that actually did good. So I have a little bit of confidence going into this week. I have a few spots that I did good, so I'm going to try to hit those up. And hopefully they're still there when I get there.
Okay. I'll come back on you on my second question. I'll go straight to. I'm gonna save Shane for last because he's been around. Everyone knows Shane, and I'm gonna hit up. Let's see, who am I go? I'll go Mike.
Sure.
What's your take on how this season unfolded? Everything that's taken place.
No, well, just to clarify, I know there's some questions going through, and I'm just keeping tabs on it, but it's the championships have a clue, right? Not San Pedro?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
It is set from a
Okay, sure. No, it's all good. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. So this is I guess technically my rookie year in Wild West. Last year, I did the Yakabats Trail, and that was fine. And I kind of skipped on Wild West just because I felt like it was like kind of a bigger deal for whatever reason. I don't know, like the branding, however it was like presented, it just felt like next level. So I was kind of like, I was a little hesitant to get in it because I just, I was like starting out my rookie year. So, and then after, some buddies had already fished it, they were like, oh yeah, it's just another tournament trail, man. I was like, oh, okay. So I fished it this year, and everything seems pretty straightforward. I will say I enjoy kind of like things being laid out a little more structurally. It's like, you post that pic to Facebook, and it explains kind of like all the details, so it's all kind of out there. So we're not kind of guessing like what's going on, like what time to launch. It's all just like right there for you. So that's really nice. And then as far as, I know, COVID and wildfires have been really messed up this year. So, switching from Amador to an open lake format, I think that was handled really well. I don't know how else you could do it. It's one of those things. So all in all, like I've had a pretty good experience with Wild West. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do. I know I'm kind of up there. So
you're
got
in ninth.
Yeah, I got two goals. It's like one is, to get that first place finish at some point in time. Take home that hardware. Still working on that. I figure it's not too terrible that I haven't done that yet, being that it's like year 2 of kayak tournament fishing. But yeah, second goal is just to finish top 10 for I guess Wild West AOY. So I'd like to win the championship too, but
right.
I guess that's a third goal.
So this is your second year competing in a kayak or fishing altogether in a kayak?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been an interesting experience because I fished. So I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and back there we have Lake of the Ozarks, which I didn't fish a lot because it was like a 4.5 hour drive away from me. So me and my buddies, we just fished rivers, kind of just later on in my life. I mean, I grew up with my father fishing for trout at the local streams. So been doing that, and then bass fishing didn't come around until a couple of my buddies who were bass fishing, like right around like when I was in college, introduced me to it, and I just started doing it. And then, funny enough, like we really just fished like suburban ponds. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see like old pictures of me in like a polo and like khakis, like just holding the bass, because I go out my lunch hour and just fish. But that was all, like, so,
Right.
I mean, private or suburban pond fishing, go Koonko, you catch a fish. I took that mentality out here to California when I moved here like 6 years ago, and it didn't work. Like, I probably spent my first year out here in California fishing, trying to figure out like what the hell was wrong with these fish because I couldn't get them to bite. And then I don't know if it was Marvin or like, I don't know what happened, but I think Alice and I just talked to some people, and they're like, you got to get out on a kayak to like fish those waters because everything's so pressured in California. So we're like, okay. I mean, I had a kayak in St. Louis, so I know how to handle it and all that stuff. So we got out there and started just, really kind of deep diving into bass fishing in general. And, just started catching bass. And that's kind of all she wrote. So, and then here we are, kayak tournament fishing, Wild West Bass. And looking forward to whatever this kayak pro tour is, whatever that pans out to be.
You just gotta make it, right?
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, you and Alice are together. I won't get into that, but did you get Alice into fishing, or was she already fishing you or out fishing you before, and kind of just came into it?
Yeah, I'll let Alice can answer that if she wants.
I mean, I didn't really get into bass fishing. I fished a lot with my grandma back in the homeland, which is Thailand, where I was born. We went pond fishing all the time for obviously not largemouth bass, like all kinds of weird fish. So, yeah, but when I started dating this guy from the Midwest, Michael, and he was like into fishing, I was like, all right, that's a hobby that I can try out. And yeah, I had a lot more fun than I expected. As a hobby, it's just interesting. Like when people are like, oh yeah, I'm not into fishing, it's like, well, have you tried it? Because you'd be really surprised by, it's kind of surprising. It's hard to explain like why it's so much fun. It's hard to explain like why I started liking it.
Right. How long have you been in the kayak?
Me, around the same time that Michael said, like, it was like fish brain days, when everybody used to be on fish brain, like 2016, 17 is when we got like our first kayaks. I think we got them from like West Marine, and they're not fishing kayaks. Because I had the idea, I was like, well, I want a recreational kayak so I can just go fishing without a fishing pole, which never happened. And then eventually people were like, why don't you have them with a pedal? Not acknowledging that those cost like, several $1,000s. And it just kind of escalated to this. Now Michael has a motor, and I want one. So
It got real. It
snowballs, man. It's like, oh yeah, I have a $560 kayak. I just wanted to get off the bank. And then it's like, okay, now explain why you have a $3,000 kayak. Like, you could have gotten off the bank on a piece of plastic that cost $200.
Right.
Right.
And it's competitive. That's what it is.
So you basically
good because.
Go ahead.
No, it's not good because like Alice will like start working on her tackle warehouse order, and then she'll ask me what I want, and I wasn't even gonna buy anything. And I'm like, oh yeah, just like add this, and this, and it's like back and forth, like all the time. We like literally, I just got a tackle warehouse order, and we're gonna get like 2 more in the next 2 days, just because we like this weird enabling between us.
Yeah, and we both work from home, so it's like when we sneak into each other's offices, and someone's got like tackle warehouse or something else that we're like, I don't know, like a fishing video. It's like, what are you doing? It's just.
That seems
everywhere.
very like deadly with your bank account.
Dude, everybody thinks it's so good. It's not. It's like.
That's kind of scary. I think if my wife, my daughters fish, but I think if my wife did too, yeah. But so as a female within this group, in all seriousness, has it been welcoming? Has it been daunting? Like, have you had issues with it at all, or has it just been like
Actually,
I can?
no. Sorry, continue.
Oh no, I'm curious.
No, it's just funny. People always ask that, and it's not the same as voting because I think like socially the barriers to entry in any sport is people gatekeeping, people giving you like imposter syndrome, feeling like you don't belong there, and kayak bass fishing as a sport, it just hasn't been around long enough for people to get like that.
Right.
So it's like you just bought your kayak last year, like you can't tell me that I can't join the sport, like you just started too. So
Right.
I think that's what it is because I think if I got into I think if I were to get into like boat tournaments, I think that'd be a lot harder because that's just been, there's just so much more gatekeeping, and it's just like this culture has just been instilled that just has been around for so long. And honestly, it's like I'm pleasantly surprised. Like every single person I meet, I'm not old fashioned. I don't expect anyone to like carry stuff up the ramp for me, which Marvin does. I didn't ask you to. Thank you, but. Everyone just kind of treats me like I'm just another angler, and that's what it is. People always, I always see these Instagram pages that are like, oh, like this is a page for women to come to feel comfortable fishing, and it's like I respect that, but then you have like Christine Fisher, Rachel Uribe, like all these other females, and it's like the place for female anglers is with other anglers.
Right.
It's like the fish aren't gonna. They don't know the difference between like who's throwing the stick with a piece of string on it, like in the water. And I think kayak fishing is just really cool for that. There's like no barriers for entry for a female. I mean, other than physical strength, but I'm lucky because I have Michael to help me with my kayak.
But now with the age of motors, it's kind of it. I think the physical strength aspect of it is slowly going away.
Yeah.
Just with the progression of all the technology, you've got motors, it's basically whatever you want to do to your boat, you can pretty much do at this point. So, yeah. So you mentioned Rachel. You also have Kathy, and there are two others, and I'm horrible with names because there's too many of them. But I know there's two more that fished with us in the May event. So I know just watching the past years, it's been like 1, 2, and now we're up to like 5, 6, 7, and I'm hoping that grows within the series. And I was just curious because I'm a dad of 3 girls who fish with me, and I want them to be able to come out and fish with me. So I'm curious from the girl aspect if it's different or if it's more daunting to go just a bunch of guys. And knowing the bunch of guys that we all fish with, between talking smack and everything else, I've been around you to know you definitely carry your own. So I was curious to see if there's like that debilitating factor for a female to come into the sport. But that's interesting. And you are right at the fringe too. Let me see. Let me pull you up.
Don't pull me up, Tim. I'm just here to balance out. I didn't know we were only gonna have 5 people here, and I didn't know it was gonna be these 2 guys and that one that's over there.
I tried to mix it up as much as possible.
I'm here for the little people.
I felt like if I asked you, I had to ask Michael. So, yeah, and I hung out with you guys at ICAST. I know you guys are really great for the sport. You're a part of just about everything that you can be a part of, which is also why I wanted to have you on, just to show people that you guys are out there and you're doing damage on the AOY board. So, no, I'm happy that you're with us. I'm happy that Kathy and all the other females are with us. I'm hoping it grows. And the day that you guys start taking some of these tournaments and these guys to the bank, I'm going to be head over heels happy to see it. Partly because I'm not fishing against you. So, yeah, no, I'm excited to see the growth with that aspect and know that it's coming. So, yeah. And last but not least, Shane, what is your take on what you've seen this season? Because I know you fished quite a few series, if I'm not mistaken. And I know just reading off the awards at the ceremonies, seeing your name like right at the the out of money spot, and it was like, come on, Shane. But now I'm starting to see your name rise and rise and rise. So I'm curious your take.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great season. You know, the whole fires, the whole COVID thing, you know, we just have to keep, you know, moving around from lake to lake and try to, you know, figure this out so we all can get out and fish. You know, it's really sad that we can't fish Lake Almore because, you know, that lake's been known for great smallies. And I was really excited to go up there and fish that event. This year, you know, it's just, I've gotten more time on the water this year than I ever have. You know, when I first started kayak fishing, well, I was kayak fishing long time ago, you know, way back in like probably 2008. You know, I bought my first Jackson Big Tuna and, you know, just started fishing in that. And then, you know, I kind of took a break a while, focused on myself, started running. And, you know, I'm a 100-mile finisher. I finished a 100-mile race in 2015. I ran another one in 2016 and numerous 50-mile races, but I got burnt out. And so what it ended up happening, I was like, man, I got to get my son back out on the water and get him fishing. So we went out and bought a couple native kayaks. And, you know, from there, I just started fishing into, you know, I started out with MKA. I think I met you, Tim, for the first time up there.
I remember
and we made a connection because you build tables and all kinds of furniture. And that's kind of one of my hobbies, or was.
Retired somewhat. Long story.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, and then, you know, I just been fishing. I've been fishing MKA, then I went to Yakabass, started fishing some of those events. And then when Wild West came out, I was extremely excited, you know, a little bit bigger platform. You know, it's just coming down this year, how my performance has panned out. I just have spent way more time on the water. I've really spent a lot of time, you know, learning my electronics. You know, I run Garmin electronics, got live scope, and really just, you know, getting out there and trying to figure out, you know, these fish and trying to figure out these patterns and, you know, going back to notes back, you know, year or two ago, just to see how these patterns, you know, evolve. So.
Yeah, and you're right now currently sitting in fourth place. You are technically, what did I say, 46 points behind Damien, who is leading the pack in AOI, which, again, is very impressive. You've averaged, out of the three events, 14th place, 2 10s, and a 23rd place on Clear Lake. Just watching the season and calling off the awards, seeing your name, because when I'm looking at that list, it's usually its usual suspects, and then you start seeing the names below it creeping up, and you're like, they're on to something. They're on to something. I mentioned it to Jeremy at the beginning of season. Watch, I'm predicting him to actually move up even more, and sure enough, you're right there. I mean, you're in fourth place, so for you to pull that off against this group it's not a small feat, because most of these names who I've fished with before over the past several years, I know you've fished against them. I mean, these guys, they don't mess around. They come out, they get it done, and they're always up there. So it's refreshing to see a name that's been around for a while start to creep up there. So no pressure this weekend. I don't know where you're going to fish or where you're going to announce, or if you're going to announce that, but good luck. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you do this weekend. And then you will likely end up, based on points in the championship, along with pretty much all of you. So it's going to be an interesting end of season, especially this weekend, with us opening the water to allow you to fish your strong suit. We just didn't want you to have a reason to skunk this weekend. We want it to be the all for nothing, or all or nothing. So, yeah. So with this season, with how it's transpired, and then the talk of Kayak Pro Tour, do you see other areas that circuits can migrate to? And this is for all of you. or a direction that they could go that they're not currently going already. And I'll actually start off with Mike. You guys, or Mike and Alice, I'll let you guys decide who goes first. But I know you guys were at ICAST, and we had a long conversation that night when we were sitting next to KVD, as Alice pointed out, who was dressed in street clothes. We had a long conversation about how everything migrated behind the scenes, and I'm curious your take if you feel there's something that can still be done to help the growth, or if we're on the right track, like what can we do better? Um, Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts with regards on growth in the direction that kayaking's going.
Yeah, I'll speak to that a little bit. I mean, I can only pull from my own experience where, you get into it and it's a little intimidating, right? I mean, I know the first two tournaments, I was like, what do I do? Like, what's this catchboard thing you guys are talking about? It's like, all this information that's like brand new to just like competitive, like fishing in general, right? Because that's usually a person's first foray into tournament fishing, unless they're getting in the boats like immediately. So that barrier to entry was a little tough. So I think like lowering that barrier to entry a little bit, whether that be through like education or I don't know, like a full-blown website with like all the info you may need, would be super helpful in just getting people like through that initial like friction point, and getting them to understand like what it's all about and how it all works. Outside of that, like once you get past that barrier to entry and you start fishing like one or two tournaments, I think I think the people are divided into like two different schools of thought, right? Like one is like, you compete against these guys and you start hearing that, Damien, Todd, Blanchard, whoever, they're always winning these tournaments, and those guys may wind up giving up. Whereas somebody like me and Alice were like, I'm gonna come get those guys because I, like, for whatever reason, just have like a competitive spirit. So I feel like there's two types of people. I'm sure obviously people just like to go fish and don't care one way or another. But I feel like there's two types of people, and they'll fall into the different types of trails that facilitate that mentality. I mean, not to say that like one trail is more competitive than the others, but I mean, I will say that Wild West is very competitive, right? I mean, there's a higher entry fee. It's been around longer. The brand has been around for a while. It's a very trusted brand. So, as I was intimidated by entering Wild West Bass, I would assume there's a similar mentality with other anglers, kayak anglers that are kind of entering the field. So outside of that, and just like, letting people know that it's just another trail, you can fish, and then, yeah, there's good anglers in there, but I mean, you can win money, you can have a good time, you can meet a bunch of cool new people. I mean, I think it speaks for itself. And as far as the Pro Tour, like, I think whatever that actually is, it's like, because I know we don't have any details yet, but whatever it is, it sounds like the next level, since it's kind of like one of those invitation things from what I understand. So I look forward to it. I mean, I'm sure, the elite guys are gonna, get the invites along with, those others that are doing well. And then it'll be another level of competition. So I'm looking forward to it. It's nice. It feels like it's kind of tiered out a little bit, which I think is good for every level of kayak angler.
And that's ultimately the goal. Is basically We've got several different circuits, and that's across the board. Even the ones that I'm not part of, there's still several different levels. We have the casual group FTD, which is more of just guys just hanging out, and then you have Wild West, which was formerly MKA, which is what Shane was talking about when Steve Melander actually brought MKA to Wild West, which this is his baby that is just progressively moving. It's still at that level, which I felt MKA was held at a higher standard. Their rule set was a little bit more stringent from previous circuits. And then Wild West has their rule set, and you've got Bass Nation, which is out there that has their rule set or their level, and where they can progress to, which is the offshoot to nationals. And then you've got KPT, which is been behind this veil, which is essentially a replica of Apex if you're following the boat series. So it is going to be held at a higher standard. There's a little bit more rules to it, but at the same time, we want to. The goal is to give back to the angler. So I know as me being an angler, it was very hard to get anything of sponsorship, especially in a kayak. It's like, what? You're in a plastic boat. It just didn't make sense. So you really had to leverage something for a sponsor to do anything. And for Jeremy to provide Wild West Bass Trail Kayak a platform to grow on, and listening to the kayak anglers like we're doing right now, I think is huge, because he's talking to those same companies that you were talking to at ICAT. I mean, it is growing. So I think the different levels will help. I do agree with you on the education. I think we need to do a better job of it, whether it's videos or training seminars or that sort of thing, to just go over it. Because it is very daunting just coming in. I mean, you've got $4,000 kayak. You got guys on $4,000 kayaks. They've spent $3,000 on electronics, plus a motor and everything else, plus all their gear that they need just to fish. So, yeah, and it doesn't need to be that. I mean, Mike Bray, as some of you may know, came in, no motor, no graph, and I think Clear Lake he got Big Fish, which we dubbed him Big Fish Bray. But he got big fish at that event. I just, like you said, it shouldn't be as daunting as it is, because you can come in very basic and still do a lot of damage to this field. So, yeah, I am going to take your education thing and run with it. I'm going to talk to Jeremy and see if we can't get something up and running with that. Maybe a prettier face than mine to talk about it, because I'm done talking. So anyways, Troy, you being your first year, was it daunting for you coming into it?
Yeah, so one of the things it was hard for me to grasp was like signing up for all the different memberships and signing up for the tournaments, and so trying to get away, like trying to figure my way through all the computer stuff and trying to make sure that I have all the memberships correctly and all the tournaments already paid for. So that was one of the things that I was definitely concerned about when I was entering all these tournaments, just making sure that I had everything correctly, because it was you have to get the $15 membership from Bass.
Yeah, that was the confusing one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I reached out to a lot of people. So the good thing about this community is, like, I feel like if you have any questions, I reach out to just random people, and we just start talking, and they help me all the time. And so I feel like this community is very small, but very tight. Like I said, if I had any questions or anything, I mean, I would just blast off a text to somebody online, and they would reply back to me pretty quick and help me along. So it actually helped me a lot, just asking people. I mean, some people might be afraid to ask people because, I don't know, I mean, but I
Right.
wasn't.
Yeah, it's expected. There's a lot of guys that talk a lot of smack that are harmless, like myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
So-
I mean, but like, and another thing, like when I first got my kayak, I was kind of nervous, going out in the middle of the water. I'd never been on the middle of the lake, so I was a little scared sometimes, But the more I get on the water, the more I fish. I'm pretty comfortable now, so it's definitely easier. But yeah, at first it was a little scary because, especially like Greg. You always watch Greg's videos. And when I first met him, I was like, oh my God, it's Greg. Like, but I mean, he was just somebody like me, just like
Yeah.
to fish. And he was a cool guy. I mean, I met Michael. Same thing. I mean, I watch his videos all the time, and it seems like we all have something in common. We love to fish, and that was kind of cool to me.
So do you see, was there anything this season that you think should change moving to the future?
I like to fish, so I would like to see a little more tournaments. Maybe
Okay.
like maybe 2 in the winter, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall. Kind of just kind of mix it up a little bit, so you actually get all your different seasons instead of starting like mid-year and kind of missing out the winter times.
Right. which I think ultimately for California, that's going to happen. I know some of you were witness to the permit debacle within the boating orgs, and everybody knows kayak is usually the bottom feeders of whatever's not already taken. We kind of jump in there and start picking dates, and this year was just a complete hot mess. So I think, good or bad, it's going to end up that way. Whether we start the season early in the winter and then carry it through, so it's kind of a backwards deal with permits, but we would start in the winter and then work our way through. I just think that opens up the schedule because ultimately there's 52 weeks in a year, and you can only fill so many weekends with an event on a specific lake that isn't going to basically eat the young of another attendance pool. So I think ultimately it will have to go to that.
And also like we just had that frog tournament. So
Right.
sometimes doing like a little fun tournament, kind of like in between tournaments, they'll actually get the people who are kind of scared to go into a tournament, but come out to these fun tournaments and kind of meet everybody, and that kind of like helps their confidence to come out there and actually do a real tournament. So that frog tournament was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I want to add to that. Like on my Instagram, nobody cared what I would post about the big tournament. Everyone kept calling it $10,000 tournament. But when I posted the frog tournament, I had so many people asking me how to enroll. I wanted to send them all to, I don't know if you're watching, Garrett, but I wanted to send them all to you because they were like, oh, like, how do I sign up? And I was like, oh, it's like a 20-step process. I didn't say that. I didn't hate. I just said, well, you have to get this membership, then you have to get this membership. And like the second I mentioned a membership, they copped out. And it just sucks because I think the marketing was all there for them to be like, oh, this is like a low barrier to entry. Like this will be my first tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I did get 2 people to like join, but like there's a couple others who are just like, I'm not paying $15. I think just the word membership just like scared them for some reason. But like I just got to say, I had so much interest when I reposted it on my Instagram. I was just like, wow. I was like, what is it about this tournament that got these non-tournament anglers so interested? I think it's what Troy's saying. It just sounded like a fun club tournament. And I think, the ones that do compete in them, I think they might see that it's not that big of a deal and actually like try to compete in the other trail events. So I agree with you.
Ultimately, the frog event, which we did with Bass Nation, if we do more fun events, because I know currently on the Wild West schedule, we have 2 open events, one in SoCal, which will pair up with Bass Nation to grow the attendance pool down there. That's, I believe, in the spring, late spring. And then we also have one which is at an area of, my kids are crying in the background, Columbia River, which will be an open event. So these open events, ultimately, you won't pay for the membership. So it's kind of like if you've got friends that aren't interested in doing the whole tournament rigmarole, they can come out and just fish a single event. They're not paying for the membership. They just come out and do the event. I think that's what I'm getting. But I know we have 2 set for Wild West. I know there's some set for Bass Nation that aren't going to count as AOY points per se. It's more of a fun event, an offshoot event, like the frog event. Columbia River, which is basically take your family up. It's beautiful up there. The Apex guys that go up there, I know Pro-Ams go up there, and we're trying to get the kayak series up there. I know we tried it, was it last year? I think it was set to go last year for an open series, but the whole COVID thing threw everything out. Now we're trying to fit inside this COVID fire permit, no water. Like, we've got a lot of hurdles to find water. So I know we're going to have a couple more and potentially add some. The fun events I don't think are a big deal for a tournament org to throw, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. In fact, we let Garrett and Marvin run that one, so which will give somebody else the experience to see what I have to deal with on the back end. But yeah, no, that sounds good. I just want to find the water to be able to do it. In terms of water, and this is like a loaded question almost, because we're dealing with a massive water shortage with lakes. So if it doesn't rain, which I think Tony posted in the comments, it's going to be really interesting next year. And I know Jeremy and I were very concerned when we had to pick dates basically in May for next year, and seeing how everything was panning out. We tried to pick areas that we felt would have water or a minimum amount of water to actually be able to fish. So outside of the will we get rain or not, are you guys seeing the lakes you want to be on? Is there like some hidden gem lake that an event should go to? I see some smiles. Um, I know Shasta has been talked about for the past couple years because Hobie was up there previously and then they disappeared. And we're going back there again to start off the season this year, which is going to be a 2-day event. So to me, that's exciting. I don't know. Are there any other lakes that we should be looking at? I guess is the question.
We've been to Tolik one time because it was supposed to be there and they got canceled for some reason. But it kind of reminded me of like a little mini Clear Lake. Like it had like docks and tulies and it was just super nice. I don't know how. I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't say it's small, but it's very very nice. But so that's my
Tolik, Tolik's a great choice. The only thing is, I would really advise to put something like that tournament more towards like the winter time, just because the boat traffic is just
Right.
horrendous during the summer. It's just horrendous. Like I won't even go out there unless I go out in the evening into the night. You know, so I mean that's another. I don't know the permit process as well, but you know, even a night tournament would be pretty epic. You know, like a
I
4
think
to 10 p.m. tournament or something. You know, or
I think you can do the night events. I think ultimately it's just a concern for insurance.
and safety, probably safety for sure.
But I know, KBF's been able to do it. I've seen those. I can pester Jeremy to start looking into his insurance policy for the anglers to see if that's possible. Because I don't think DFG holds you back on
I
time.
don't
I know
think
they
so.
they constrain the number of hours you can be out there, but you can set it. I mean, there's rules. We had a lot of clarification with this behind the scenes meeting with DFG. I guess it's been like 4 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Some clarification on what we can and can't do with permits. So, like this open event, as long as we're not naming water, it's technically, we're not dictating where you fish. It's more of just an online event. So, we should be able to pull it off. It's just the whole logistics side. But I can ping Jeremy on that because that would be interesting. Because some of the lakes you can fish at night, some you can't. Like Folsom, I think they close down at 9. So
I know Bowler's Bar. Tony mentioned Bowler's Bar.
yeah,
That's a good place, and that place is very very deep. I mean, I think I went out to the middle, and I think it was like 400 feet deep. It was it was a little scary, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's small. There's small ones in there, and there's giant ones in there, but there's never like in the middle. So it'd be kind of a tough one, but it'd be a kind of a good one to go to.
I'm seeing comments. Let me go to comments real quick. We've got Tony. He's Collins and Rollins. I don't know how they were affected with water though. The biggest concern is where their water level or what's their water table right now. Tulloch, Pardee, we do have an event next season. Bullard, you talked about, which I know you can camp on the shore, which is huge for a lot of the wreck boaters that are used to Folsom, but now it's 5 mile an hour, so they're going up there. Stacy says Collins has great ice cream, so you know, yeah. So the lakes, I was just interested. I know Berryessa is a huge lake for a lot of us that have been doing this for years. Barry was always a fun lake for me to fish. Unfortunately, the way DFG and permits, same with Tulloch, they have special regulations on allowing permits, and they're much easier to kick out orgs from fishing that lake. So Barry I would love to be back at Barry. Unfortunately, it's just a water issue. Cool. So I don't know. Are there any questions online that you guys want answered in a whole?
So I do got one question.
Yeah.
So so this weekend is it public ramps only?
Yeah, so the where this goes down a slippery slope is, I'll give an example. Clear Lake. I have seen in the past people launching boats basically on the side of the road. They'll park in a residential area and just launch it straight off the side of the road. The problem is, I've seen some people do that and then not be able to get out of the water. That is the concern part for us, just letting you go free will to wherever. The public ramps, we know you're checking in at a certain spot, so we know you're coming back in at that certain spot, which, contrary to belief, we are checking that to make sure everyone's off the water. Next year, we do have another rule in place that will help with that. Basically, you will have to check in at the award station after you get off the water, just so we know you're off the water. It's just the safety thing, but we want to keep doing the open ramps, the open launch, and yes, the answer to your question is yes, public ramps. I know there's some areas that have like dirt roads, like for example, for those that have fished Folsom, Salmon Falls, when you go up, has the rock ramp. That is okay because it's a designated ramp for those types of vessels. We just don't want you launching off the side of the road. Mainly because a lot of, like Clear Lake, if you get trapped out there, you're never getting off the water or you're going to get stuck. So instead of us having to go chase and save you, we just prefer you use the public ramps, which, not saying you're not going to get caught off guard with the wind, because it does get nasty. Same with the Delta. If you get caught in one of those, I think it's been in Blanchard's video with him and Obity getting stuck out there, and they're basically just pulling off anywhere they could pull, and then they got to go walk to get their vehicle. It does happen. We're just trying to minimize that risk. So yeah, public ramps. Donald Bailey says he lives on Rollins. It's super low, which is expected. And no questions online. I'm surprised. Let's see.
I have a question for the Wild West Championship. Is that a qualifying event, or is everybody able to fish that?
So it is a qualifying event based on points, and okay. I will have, before the event this weekend, I will announce how many. I don't know the answer to that just yet. I need to clarify that. I came in this year to help with Wild West because Steve moved to the media spot. So a lot of things have been on a whim this year, unfortunately. I've tried my best to keep it together, but there's certain things looking forward that I just don't have a hard answer to yet. It will be a qualifying event.
Is it a free entry if you get invited to the TOC, or do we still have to pay?
Yeah, when you pay, it actually essentially is filling the pot to pay out. I know Headwaters, I can announce they have a Crescent kayak that they are putting up for the championship winner. I believe there's some other stuff, but I don't want to get in trouble and say the wrong thing. So I will talk to Jeremy this week and get clarification on exactly what all that is. And then I'll release that Saturday. I will do another live event Saturday night from wherever I'm going to be, which I am planning to be out on the water Saturday and Sunday, based on the people that sent me a DM of where they're fishing. You don't have to send it to me. I'm basically just going out looking for photos, live shots, and potentially some interviews with several of you. Tony's saying to open it up, more money. Again, I will confirm that and let you know, but I believe it is a qualifying event. And I want to say top 50, but I'm not sure. I will double check. I know right now this event this weekend is a low field, and looking at the AOY points, which I can go into next, there's definitely some movement that can happen this weekend on that chart. I will actually, in fact, instead of sharing my screen and trying to look through a microscope at my numbers, I'll try and get this posted after the call to actually show you where everyone's at. So John Myers actually brought up the point system for Wild West. Basically, its first place would be awarded 250 points per event. Everyone that participated would get an automatic 50 points. So essentially, if you got first, it would be a 300 points and go down. If you did not score a scoreable bass, 12 inches for what this season is allowed, if you didn't score a scoreable bass in one of those events, but you signed up and paid to be in that event, basically you skunked, you would get 50 points. However, if you caught a single 12-inch bass and registered it for that event, it would actually jump you up another 150 points on the leaderboard. So the points are very valuable. It is very valuable to score every bass, even though when Garrett catches his 12-inch largemouth, it's very, I know it hits your pride a little bit, but it is worth a ton of points. And this circuit is based on points for AOY and the championship. So, yes, the point system. So when you see the points, you're going to see a different structure, but pretty much everyone fell in the same spot that we had posted up originally. Outside of, I think it was like the 20th spot and down, there was some fluctuation based on how they did in a single tournament. I think there was a couple that skunked or caught one bass, so their points minimized, which altered their position. But I will get that posted up hopefully by the end of the night before I crash, and you guys can take a look to know what you need for this weekend. I know everyone on this screen is literally right up there, and including Alice. I'm looking at her name right now. It's going to be a fight this weekend. I'm excited to see what you guys do.
So Brandon had a couple questions. Brandon was asking how many anglers are going to be in KPT total?
The total, I will say this, KPT events, the goal is to have a shortened field. I won't give you a number per se because I don't know the exact number. It's basically going to be on those who qualify, and qualifying meaning you did well last year, you did well this year, you are, I'm drawing a blank on the word. Basically, you are spending your time within the kayak industry to help grow it, whether it's social media, sponsorship. You're immersed in kayaking. Like the iCast example. I mean, you guys were with Luz most of the time that I saw or walked by. Mm-hmm. It's just KPT, the way to view it is literally the pro level. So the exposure is going to be there. You need to be able to talk. I know for some of you that are fishing, it may be hard or awkward. I think it's awkward for everybody, including me on this thing. You just kind of do it. Talk about your skill set, what it means to you, what the sponsors are doing for you, and what they're bringing to the table, because they're allowing KPT, the goal again is to have a short field, pay out first around the 10K mark to a first place win. So it's similar to the May event that we had with Bass Nation and Wild West. However, that field's almost cut in half, maybe less. So it's a giant pot. You will be fishing lakes that are not normally hit because we have a shorter field, so you can go to certain lakes that aren't necessarily main bodies of water like Berryessa Delta. And there's going to be some additional rules, blackout periods, some links will change. So it's a little bit higher level. It's more serious. It's just more exposure to get for the angler in the end. So like Apex, it's all based on the angler, the interviews during the event, the live event, after the event. It's just a lot of good exposure, which is what sponsors ultimately they want to see. That's why they're funding it. So that's what KPT is without revealing all the nuts and bolts, which for those that get the invite will be invited to find out what that is, what's involved. you guys as the initial group that actually get to KPT will actually set up the org in terms of the pay structure and that sort of thing. Again, I don't want to reveal too much, but you are ultimately, as the KPT angler, as a group, will design and manipulate this to where it needs to be. We will have, I know I saw Vince on here. He was pinging me that there was no volume. He's an Apex angler. I'm trying to get him, Kinma, Lassane, basically as many as I possibly can to come talk to everyone at this level, because a lot of the guys that are in kayak haven't had that exposure to see what's expected or how to best perform under that type of scrutiny. So it's just a really good opportunity for those guys that are serious for kayak fishing. And it's not to beat out any other pro circuit. It's just something for West Coast that just sets another stage a little bit higher than where we're at right now. So again, as Mike was saying, we're trying to cover all of the fields or demographics in terms of beginner to intermediate to what do you really want. If KPT is your thing and that's where you want to be, you can be there. But also at KPT right now, you can still fish any other circuit that you choose. So it pretty much opens the door on how serious you want to get with this. But with the exposure, it comes a lot of great opportunities for the anglers. So I'm going to cease talking about KPT. I don't want to reveal anymore. But again, it's a really good opportunity. If you get the invite, if you get the invite, you've done something right, and you will know why when you're on that call. So, I've covered AOI, the last event, the championship. Again, I'll talk to Jeremy to reconfirm. It is set for McClure. I need to confirm the water level. It's not an issue that we're not all going to, or not all of you are going to be fishing out of the same little hole. So I just need to reconfirm that, and I will go live Saturday for a captain's meeting just to go over the rules for Sunday so no one makes mistakes, and cover the championship location and anything else that I have. I don't know if there's any other questions from you guys or online that we didn't go over. I know we've been here an hour and I don't want to kill everybody's evening, so.
Yeah, no questions over here. I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Maybe go over the time, lines in, lines out, things like that for people who might not know.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull this up without breaking the screen. Bear with me.
So this is like a time change. I know, like, I was watching videos, somebody was up there like at 5:30 and it was pitch dark.
Yes. So we've got, you can check in on the app at 5:30 and launch at 5:30. I know several, which I understand why people ask. Hang on, let me move this over. Several ask if they can launch their boat and basically tie up to the dock. That ultimately is allowed. Obviously, don't be sitting there pedaling in circles, running your graphs by the dock. That's not considered docking. It's get your boat on the water, get it out of the way as fast as possible, especially for the boaters that are coming through. It's just an annoyance. Don't block the ramp, whatever you do. So try and get out of the way. If you got to get on your boat and move it over to the other end of the dock, that is fine. Just do it as quick as possible and get off. 5:30, you can launch. You need safe light or 360 light if you launch before safe light. Check your app. Again, with Wild West, we let a lot of this stuff up for interpretation to you, for you to figure out as the angler. Safe light is published in multiple areas. You got to figure it out. I'm not going to hand feed it to you. So if you launch before safe light, you need, sorry, Tony's distracting me with his comment. You need the 360 light, lines in. So it gives you 30 minutes roughly to get to a spot before you can start casting. 6 a.m. lines in. Lines out at 3. Check out on the TourneyX app by 3:30, and I'll start going through there before I do any more judging, is just to make sure everybody's off the water safely. If you're not, you will likely get a call from me, potentially Stacy, who I think will be helping me judge. Don't hold me to that, but I think she's going to help. You will get a call from somebody asking you where you're at. If you do not respond, if we're trying to reach you because you didn't check out, you thought you checked out, but you're still getting the calls and you're not responding, you're going to be DQ'd from the event, and then we're going to have to send out the search party essentially to come figure out where you're at. I know some guys get prideful, they skunk, they don't care anymore, and they don't check out. Don't do it. As we said at the beginning of the season, and we've been somewhat lenient this year, that we were going to essentially disqualify you from the next 2 events. That will go into place this weekend for certain if you don't do it. So don't get mad that you did do well and not check out. It's very important. The safety is a big thing with us, and Jeremy especially, since he won't be there. So check out at 3:30. Last submission is also at 3:30. If we've had questions before, if you get out of your kayak and pull your kayak up to go use the bathroom at one of these state parks or what have you, check out so I know you're at least off the water. I know it sounds dumb. Just check out so we know you're off the water. If it's for a long period of time, I might call you to figure out what's going on, but ultimately just check out the minute you get off the water so we know you're off. Again, last submission on TourneyX will be 3:30. The roster is updated right now, so if you go to Wild West Bass Trail on TourneyX and look under the current tournaments, the open water event is there with the current roster. Last I checked 4 hours ago, and I will check it again. You need to, if you're going to fish this event and haven't purchased it, go to Wild West Bass Trail, go to the kayak tab, and pay for the open water event. And then, yes, and then last submission is at 3:30. Awards we will do on Facebook somehow. I don't exactly know because I will be at some lake where I know several of you are planning to go just to get the mass amount of photos and interviews and what have you. So I will try and figure that out and get those posted. You will know who wins pretty quick, whether that's in a Facebook post or not. I don't know if we'll go live, but we will try. That will be later in the evening. I think that covers all of the times. Again, Saturday is the official practice day, safe flight. You need to be off the water by 3 p.m., which I don't know how it helps you to be out there after 3. And yeah, I think that's it. Any other questions? Wyatt.
I think so.
I don't think so. We're good here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Well, I will let everybody have the rest of their evening or Tuesday night to go prep for this weekend, and hopefully you guys land some big fish. I'm expecting you to. I know a lot of you guys are going to come out swinging. I will post AOY shortly after this. And yeah, good luck this weekend for those that are fishing. And for those that I run into this weekend, I will see you out on the water. Don't mind me. I'm just taking pictures. But yeah, good luck to you guys. And thanks for joining us. And for all of you online, I can't talk anymore. It's late. Thanks for joining the show. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Have a good night.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Tim.
Later, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.